What's up, everyone? The Gaming Collegian here, back with another episode of TGC Replays. We're glad to have you guys here. I'm Dylan Ortuno, your host. Got Henry Hein, our co-host for today's episode.
Yo.
And we have plenty of stories to talk about. First of them, of course, starting with a nice fun story, an NFT story. Yeah, you definitely don't hear enough about those these days, as well as a Fortnite item removal story, and plenty more to come with as long as some of our regular segments. So be sure to stay tuned in, and let's get right into it. With our first story, we have Amaranth selling an NSFW NFT for, and I know it says 90,000 euros, but in US dollars, that's a little above 100K. So 100K for an NFT. And you're probably thinking like, man, this must be something else. And just wait until I show you how it looks like. Cause like, I was thinking, just reading the headline, I'm like, oh, it must be pretty well designed. Look pretty good. Okay, cool. So we scroll down and it's a pixelated NSFW version of Amaranth. And this sold for so much. And she's like, oh, I guess I'll be doing it again. So this brings my question, like, what do you think about, real life people now selling NFTs of themselves? Like, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about this one. When we got people, like, if this was maybe like more fleshed out piece of artwork, maybe like hyper-realism or something, maybe I would understand. But it's pixel art. And you can, I guess it's got the green eyeshadow, but for over $100,000, that's a really big stretch. And honestly, like, we got people selling NFTs of themselves. Don't you think that's kind of egotistical?
Yeah.
I mean, well, I'm not gonna pass any more judgment on it, but I'm just gonna say it's a little bit questionable.
No, for sure, it's definitely pretty interesting, and I think Amaranth is, props to her. She's making the most of her name and her branding. But like, this could easily be literally anyone else, and if you didn't have the name Amaranth attached to it, who knows? Maybe it wouldn't go for that much. But yeah,
who knows? Nice
little funny story. Gotta start it off. Now we go to the Pokemon Go world, where Giovanni is back with Shadow Lugia as his shadow Pokemon. And the reason why I bring this up in particular is because a lot of Pokemon fans, like real Pokemon fans, not to bash on some of you guys probably remember Shadow Lugia had a pretty prominent role in another game way back when, in the GameCube era, in XD Gale of Darkness. There was a real Shadow Lugia, but if you look at this one, it's just a generic Shadow Lugia, Shadow in terms of Pokemon Go. And, I guess what I thought here was like, it's kind of interesting how Pokemon already had a Shadow Pokemon, like, type of Pokemon established in, it's non-canon, like in their lore way back when. But now they go back and they kind of redo it, and then they bring back Lugia specifically as a Shadow Pokemon, and it doesn't look the same. So a lot of fans are a little like, kind of confused on how to feel about it. But generally speaking, Giovanni's still pretty tough, so pretty cool opportunity. If you can beat him, you can feel good about yourself and get a Shadow Lugia. But how do you feel about, I guess, games in general when they go back and sure, it may not be like, they're like, forget about stuff that happened in the past of their lore and they just like redo it. I guess like retconning things that are kind of important.
Yeah. I personally don't know too much about Pokemon. I never really played it when I was a kid.
Yeah,
but I can definitely. It depends on the developer. Sometimes you can have games. What was that game? That was like the retro style game. That was somewhere in the 1930s. Mm-hmm. They came out with a completely remastered version, and they redid a lot of the lore, and it was really well accepted because they fleshed out a lot of the parts of the story that were undeveloped, that weren't really in depth at all in the original game, but they made it so much better. I think it was Mafia. The Mafia series. They came out with the Mafia Definitive Edition, and they tied up a lot of the loose ends in the original game, and I thought that was amazing. They had a whole new like remastered, remade city with new assets and everything. You can do it. It's achievable, but it also depends on your fan base and what was missing in the original game versus like, you know, what you're trying to do with it afterwards. So I'm not too sure about this. It sounds like something that used to have more, I guess, definition. Now is become more generic, kind of like you said, more of a generic shadow Pokemon?
No, it definitely feels like that. I think previously, and it's mostly because in the games that Shadow Pokemon originally appeared in, there was like more lore behind why they were Shadow Pokemon, what was going on. Whereas Pokemon Go, like, it's not a story-based game, so it's more of like a cosmetic type thing, and then like generally speaking, like, oh, these Pokemon have been abused by Team Rocket, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, I guess, yeah, it really just has come down to the developers. I mean, it is just a mobile game, so maybe they just took the easy way out and something like that. But I don't know. I really loved the GameCube Pokemon games. So for me, this really stuck out when I heard of Shadow Lugia, and I checked it out. And it was just Lugia with the shadow aura around him, as opposed to previously, it was like a whole different color scheme. And I was like, wow, super cool. But yeah, that was pretty nice. And speaking of removing old things, we're jumping right into Fortnite removing the Travis Scott cosmetics.
Because like a lot of these events that do happen are completely unforeseen. One of the other big examples that I can recall from recent history, a lot of these things are just they're not.
You guys did not change the camera while we were talking to each other.
First of all, you got that wrong.
Oh, okay.
You got the Fortnite thing wrong.
Do you think this was the appropriate thing to do, like, you know, closing down the item shops for a day and things like that? To Travis Scott following the Astroworld situation that went down the previous weekend, or at least for us right now, the previous weekend. So basically, to give you guys a little spark notes of what happened and everything that we got over here, they put in a Travis Scott TikTok emote into the shop, you know, in their little rotation, because they didn't want to specifically just remove that one. They actually ended up just closing up the shop entirely, which, you know, we'll get into that a little bit more later. And if you actually email them, you can get the free cosmetics from the Travis Scott events removed from your account. Not the paid ones, by the way, not the paid ones, because you did pay for those, so you know, that's pretty cool on them. But anyways, this brings me to you, Henry. Do you think that was the appropriate action to take, you know, closing down the whole shop for you know, what happened here? And like, you know, how do you feel about all the risks that these companies take every time they do so many collabs with so many people?
Well, I think there's always a little bit of inherent risk when you're trying to collaborate with all of these different celebrities. It's like when you're dealing with careers that are such volatile careers, like you know, Travis Scott in the music industry, and there's just so much that can happen in so little time, and you can't really anticipate all of the different things that could happen. Like the thing that happened in Houston was a terrible tragedy, but who could have thought that would have happened? Like nobody at Fortnite probably knew that was going to happen or saw that was going to happen. And I mean, I think they did what they could, but I'm not so sure if this was the right thing to do. Only time will tell with that. But probably the most recent thing I can think of from recent memory was when they removed the name of the guy from the sheriff from Overwatch, the guy who got kicked out after all of the allegations surrounding Blizzard and Overwatch there. I think, and that was also like a really much more drawn out event. So the allegations came out, and maybe a month, maybe 2 months later, that's when they decided to rename the guy. But yeah, I think only time will tell what will happen to all of the different items and stickers and emotes that will happen to the items in the item shop. So yeah, there's not much more I can say about that.
For sure, I definitely am Back to Riot Games, where they are releasing another new thing. This time it is specifically for League of Legends, where they're doing an avatar creator for League of Legends. And I'll keep it a buck. Like, I'm kind of excited because, you know, I want to make my avatar look kind of silly, but I don't really understand, like, what the purpose of this is going to have outside of, I mean, maybe just a little bit of character expression. I mean, I think that's really all they're going for. Like, you just get to express yourself as a character a little better for League. Though I will say, I just look at it as something that, like, to do for fun. But I don't know, like, what do you think about avatar? League of Legends, like, you're never going to use this character.
Yeah.
It's like the summoner icons. Like, the summoner icons, you see them, you don't even see them in, like, unless you're queued up with your friends, you don't even really see them. So they're kind of just like there. So do you think this is just someone just had too much time on their hands and they just put it into this, or what are you feeling about it?
Like, I'm not sure. Like, my only question is why? like, there's not really a purpose. They don't serve any gameplay purpose other than it's just purely cosmetic. It's only cosmetic. So I think it kind of goes with the theme where Riot's trying to branch out a little bit more with, like, casual players. So it's like, you don't have to be really competitive in League. Look at all these other wonderful things you can do. You've got, well, they came out with the preseason video the other day. They've got the challenges, the daily challenges that you can partake in that are more casual, not competitive. They've got the little, I think they're updating the client to add the little achievements thing. In the lobby, in the queue or in the lobby, right? So it's like, I guess they're trying to let you spice up your profile a little bit more unique customization to yourself, but it's like none of it really serves a gameplay purpose, so it comes off as a lot more of a pander by Riot. That's just my personal take on it. I mean, it looks pretty cool. The art style kind of does remind me a little bit. I mean, it is Riot Games art style, but a lot of it, I looked at, if you scroll up a little bit, that first picture kind of almost reminded me of like Valorant. I don't know. Maybe they'll like have your face, like your avatar face in like the loading screen or something. I'm not sure how that would work. It probably wouldn't replace the champion like splash arts in the loading screen.
For sure.
But yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it.
No,
I mean, it's cool, but
I really want to see how they implement it, because I think it could be kind of cool if it's like a little box or like a little circle in the champ select and like the queue up and everything, because everyone can see it. I think that could be kind of cool. It did release today. I haven't checked it out personally or seen if it's out yet.
Oh, it was today?
But yeah, today, this Friday, November 12th. So if you guys are watching, then it is already out. Be sure to check it out if you haven't already. I'm going to be checking that out after this, actually. So yeah, it depends on how it comes out, but I definitely agree. It's definitely something a little more catered to the casual audience, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, you know, casual audience shouldn't have.
Casuals.
No. But yeah, it's just gonna be cool. It's just another extra element League's adding, or Riot is adding to League. But yeah, gonna be cool to see how that shapes out. And speaking of how things shape out, we are gonna have Henry with his tech deal of the week to help shape your room, your computer, whatever he decides on. Whatever the tech deal of the week is, it's always a surprise to me. Should be a surprise to you guys. But Henry is the man with the magic, and we are going to pass it off to his little studio so he can help you guys with our tech deal of the week.
Hey guys, this is Henry back with the Tech Deal of the Week, the show where I get to bring you tech that won't break your wallet. Today's tech is actually a little bit interesting. We've got something called a lavalier microphone. So basically this is the type of microphone that's used in a lot of studios. It's actually the one that we actually use in our studio at the Gaming Collegian. If you look closely, you'll see it. So this is a lavalier microphone which clips on to a collar or a part of your clothing, and it is one of the most underrated microphones. A lot of people, when they think microphones, they think of these big, bulky USB microphones you can plug into your sound studio at like a professional studio or into your computer like a Blue Yeti or something. But this is a much more portable microphone with a quality that's actually pretty comparable to that of those much larger, more expensive microphones. Now this is only $13, which seems pretty cheap compared to a lot of the other larger microphone brands like Blue and all those. But This is a 16 foot and it connects using a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, actually a microphone jack, right? So it's got the double banded 3.5 millimeter jack right there. And you can plug this into any Android or iPhone device, given that it has one, right? So modern iPhones, you're going to need the jack, of course. It actually shows it right there. You need the Lightning to 3.5 millimeter jack. But you can use this to record directly into your phone using apps like voice memos. You can also record videos, and the microphone quality is actually really, really good. So this microphone, you can definitely use it for a whole bunch of different applications, right? So you can plug this into your laptop, you can plug this into your computer, you can use it for Zoom calls, you can use it for virtual classrooms, virtual meetings, and you can definitely use this for things for like entertainment. If you want to record your voice for a project, if you want to record your voice for a presentation, or if you want to do vlogging, or if you want to do gaming or streaming, this is definitely a viable option. And so like I said before, the microphone comes with a clip to clip onto your clothing, and it actually comes with a little windscreen. So this little windscreen is a little phone pad that you use to cover the microphone so that the plosives aren't as extreme, right? So sometimes it'll actually start to sound a little bit too loud where the audio will clip through the maximum, and this windscreen helps to prevent it whenever you're saying hard syllables like P's or T's or any loud expulsion of air when you're saying those consonants, right? So really good deal, you should get it. I highly recommend. $13. You can use it with any device that has a microphone/headphone jack. So go ahead and get this one. Back to you, Dylan, at the studio.
All right, guys. Thank you very much to Henry for the tech deal of the week.
Problem.
Of course, be sure to check it out in case you skipped by that segment. I don't know why you would skip that segment. But anyways, just joking. But on to our next few topics, where we are going to be talking about a little more tech. Yeah, surprise, surprise. This time, the NVIDIA RTX 40 series coming out, well, 4000 series, not 40, whatever, coming out maybe as soon as July 2022. And what I'm really thinking about this, before even talking about how these are going to perform, because we just assume they're going to perform better than the 3000 series. It's really just like, why is NVIDIA doing this in a time where we already know there's a lot of shortage going on. More on that later, and people still aren't able to like easily get the 30,000 series, and now they're pumping this out. I mean, what do you think the logic is behind releasing this during this time?
Honestly, like, I'm not sure if this is a great move. I think NVIDIA should be doing more to get more cards into the hands of consumers, because scalpers are still everywhere, and a lot of the time what ends up happening is that the AIBs, they're the companies that help manufacture like third-party cards, so like Asus, Aorus, Aorus is for under gigabyte, so like MSI and all of those other companies, they're also marking up the prices of their cards. One of the more famous examples is EVGA. What they do is they, at the beginning of the cycle, right, so the 30 series came out 2020-ish, right? End of 2020.
Yeah.
They came out with their own EVGA card version that's around MSRP. So for example, if the original card was 500 for 3070, it was like 550.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's the cheapest other card you can buy, right? And then what they do is like, okay, that card is getting a little bit old, so we'll make a different upgraded version of the card, but they end up increasing the price by say 100. So the new lowest end EVGA card is a 650 now,
Yeah.
right? So it's like they slowly creep up the price as the card comes to the end of its cycle. But it's more beneficial for them because right now we're at the end of the cycle and only now is stock going back up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cheeky. It's not my favorite business practice, but with those shortages, I think NVIDIA should do more like price enforcement. But I get it. The card manufacturers are, I guess, taking advantage of the really distressful economic times. But these 4000 GPUs are looking really promising. Like, in terms of raw performance, of course, I'm not talking about availability yet.
Yeah.
But they're supposedly rumored to be twice the performance, which is absolutely nuts right now, especially with the 3090 breaking records, especially with the amount of power consumption that we're talking about. Power consumption is a big deal now, right?
No, for sure.
The UN with the global environmental conference going on within this past month, and now that NFTs are a big thing, everybody's talking about the environmental impacts of power consumption with blockchain, and Intel came out with their own CPU that is breaking boundaries, going up to 250, 300 watts on their CPU. If the 4090 is rumored to do as well as it does, it could go up to 600 watts.
Jeez.
Now, a combined system of a 4090 and a 12900K, that's 350 plus 600. That's 950 alone from only two components. That doesn't include RAM, that doesn't include the motherboard, that doesn't include all of the other aspects, any other cards that you need. Like a 950 watt power supply right now is all like 950 to 1,000 watts if you're going bare minimum, right? But you always want that extra headroom. You're going to have to go for a 1,200 watt power supply. Sheesh, things are not looking cheap for the future right now. Hopefully the market does even out with factories being built for chips, but I don't see us consumers getting price shortages anytime soon.
Yeah.
So.
No, for sure. And speaking about factories building up chips, looks like they really need to get the run on that, because they are running short on chips. And this isn't, this is just one story in particular, but this has been the story for a lot of the latter half of this year. And they've really been running short on chips for a lot of things. Like, that's the whole like iPhone shortage thing that's going on because of chip shortages. I mean, there's just a lot of other tech things. Now it's really affecting just GPUs being pumped out and all those other components of a computer. So really, what do you think? I guess why do you think it's particularly difficult right now with the shortage of chips? Like, what do you think is the biggest barrier for companies for?
Right now, I think it's just there's a lot of demand. So supply itself is going up, but demand has gone so much higher, right? So we've got, Elon Musk in itself, think about this. He's got the Boring Company, right? The flamethrowers. He's got Tesla. He's got Neuralink. He's got OpenAI. He's got SpaceX, right? And all of these companies are very computer and technologically focused companies. And Tesla in itself needs a whole bunch of these chips. So one of the things in this story actually is that Sony is they're building a chip factory in Japan, but the issue is that they're not going to be focusing on what consumers like we were just talking about GPUs. GPUs aren't going to be the first priority. Their first priority is definitely going to be the automotive industry, and especially other more larger industries, companies like Samsung and their refrigerators and appliances and all those things. A lot of those industrial applications are going to come first. So they're going to produce chips that are 28 nanometer, 22 nanometer. So those are larger chips. So if you're familiar with computer architecture, you want that nanometer value to be smaller, because that means you can fit more into the chip, right? Mm-hmm. So they're going to focus on larger architectures first for cars, for refrigerators, for things like that, before they focus on the smaller 5 nanometer, 14 nanometer. Those are for GPUs, right? So we're probably not going to see these GPUs and stuff land into consumers' hands anytime soon, especially since they're just now building the factory. They're trying to catch up, right? They're trying to catch up. And this factory is only going to be finished in 2024.
Oh, geez.
If the 4000 series comes out in 2022, the 5000 series is going to come out in 2024. When are we going to see these chips to land into consumers? Maybe a year after the factory opens, we'll see GPUs be pumped out, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, how much longer is this going to take? We might look back in the history books and see this as the great chip shortage of the early 2020s, right?
Yeah, you never know, because especially just how prominent chips are to a lot of the technology we use nowadays. It really might take if things get better after the fact, we might look at this just as that. So that was a very cool little take. And to soften things down a little bit, we are now going to talk about, it's still tech related, but the Star Wars Battlefront 8K ray tracing mod, which in case you're unfamiliar, Battlefront is a pretty old game. Well, when I say old, like year, just like half a decade ago or so. I remember playing it on my PS4, and I thought it looked pretty cool with its normal graphics. Now this won't do it justice because obviously I'm not on like a super crazy screen, but I guess really what I'm trying to ask here is with all these cool mods pimping out these games of the past, how, you know, it does look nice and it's really aesthetically pleasing. But how important do you think ray tracing and technology like this is really going to have, particularly in games like Battlefront, where Battlefront was very, well, I'd say like half and half multiplayer based. So like, it wasn't really that important to look that pretty. Like what do you feel about ray tracing and its place in gaming, particularly with like all the new cards coming out? Like it's going to be more and more available, but like, do you think it's really necessary for what we're going for?
I think, excuse me. I think we're going for, a lot of these companies are investing into ray tracing, and there's a lot of outcry from a lot of consumers. They're like, you know, we can't even afford any of these cards, any of this technology, and you're like pumping out this ray tracing. It almost feels like a slap in the face. But I'm actually going to play devil's advocate here and say that I'm actually kind of glad that a lot of these companies are investing into ray tracing right now, because regardless of whether the innovation is publicly available, the fact that we have this innovation just lets us prepare for that age when we get ray tracing to become more efficient. Because right now, ray tracing is still relatively in its infancy, right?
Yeah.
We've got like, you know, rasterization started in the late 90s, and we really only mastered it starting like late 2000s,
yeah.
early 2010s. It took a while. And ray tracing, hopefully we're going to see more efficient uses of ray tracing, because this ray tracing is not true ray tracing, right? It's just rasterized ray tracing, where it approximates everything, but it's not like rendering something for a while, right?
Yeah.
Like in a dedicated engine. This is real time. So there are a few shortcuts that are being taken, and I think the more we understand the technology and the algorithms all behind ray tracing, we're going to get better technology that's going to become more accessible down the line. We're not going to see those benefits immediately. And I think that's what a lot of the outcry is coming to, is that a lot of people are like, I can't experience this, why are you shoving this in my face? A similar thing happens a lot of the time when it comes to like reviewers reviewing technology that isn't available to people yet. It's like, why are you reviewing this? I can't even buy it. It's like, well, the review's going to be up there forever, right? So 5 years in the future, you can come back and look at this review. Like 5 years in the future, this ray tracing is still going to be there, and you're going to be able to use it maybe 5 years down the line, and that technology is still valuable, right? Regardless of if it's valuable to you right now. But I can definitely see the consumer side of it. It's like, you're not getting it in your computer, so.
Yeah, no, I guess that's definitely a really nice take on it. Because, I mean, yeah, you know, from my side of it, like just personally speaking, I kind of do just look at it as like, oh, why is this just getting shoved down my throat? But I guess everyone really thought about that anytime something new came out. Like I'm sure the first time like 3D games came out, like just in general, like people are probably like, whoa, you know, maybe it wasn't that expensive compared to getting ray tracing. But sure, the technology must have been pretty expensive for other companies, but it became more accessible. This kind of just applies to any new invention whenever it comes out. It's just, it's expensive at first. Maybe it's like a virtual reality. Maybe we'll see that.
Exactly like virtual reality. We've got early adopters, right? And then later on it becomes more accessible, so.
Yeah, which for sure. Speaking of virtual reality, if you haven't already, check out our TGC Plays, where we do play a virtual reality game, Beat Saber. That one was a very exciting night, so be sure to check that one out if you haven't already. Maybe we have it linked somewhere up here. I don't know. Somewhere, wherever you put it in post, Henry. But anyways, on to our next little segment, where this one is just what are we playing for this past week. As always, you know, I'm always somehow playing something different. It's anyone's guess how I managed to do this, but don't ask. Just don't ask. But I'll start with Henry first. So, Henry, what have you been playing as of late?
What am I playing? Well, I've gotten, historically, I've been playing a little bit too much of League of Legends, but I'm starting to play a little bit more of Rocket League, getting back in. I used to play it a lot, and I'm trying to, I'm in my placements right now, but I think I'll be able to make it to Plat. You know, in 3v3s right now. So we'll see what happens with that. Other games that I've been playing are this is kind of funny. I play Snake, just the Snake game. You just look up Snake game on Google.
Yeah, a little Snake
and you know,
game.
whenever you're bored in class, I'm not advocating playing anything during class, but Snake game is a very, very fun and simple game, and you know, it makes you use your brain. So you know, if you want to improve that noggin of yours, definitely, it's a good brain teaser. So, how about you, Dylan? What are you playing?
Yeah, speaking of mind teasing games while we're on it, Minesweeper. Minesweeper. That's a great game to totally not play during class. I would never do that. But games that I'm actually playing, I've been playing the new Forza Horizon 5, which, let me tell you, it is beautiful. Like, I am just absolutely in love with the jungle region, La Jungla, you know, yeah, that part. Whew. It's set in Mexico. It's so beautiful. There's just so many like different types of environments you can explore. Because I usually just play the Horizon games just for driving around and taking pictures and things like that. I also do the races. I do enough of the races to get the cars I want. But it's just such a fun game where I can just like, my mind can just AFK and I'm just like zooming around the map, just enjoying the beautiful scenery, especially since, you know, again, this is a lot of people's first time playing it because it just came out. It's really new to me because Forza Horizon 4, which I played for a good bit of time, don't get me wrong, I still play it sometimes here and there, or I would, you know, before 5 came out, but after a while it gets old because, you know, I went through every single little nook and cranny of the map. So this is just beautiful game. If you have Xbox Game Pass, check it out because it is on Game Pass for PC and I want to say Xbox as well. So for sure, take a look at that game if you are a driving fan, which if you couldn't already guess, I do like that.
I've got a question for you, Dylan.
Yeah.
So, as a player, I played Forza Horizon 4 a decent bit. How do you feel about Horizon 5 compared to Horizon 4? Because I know a lot of people picked up Horizon 4, you know, lush green England. How do you feel about Mexico compared to England? How's the map and how's the feel of driving and everything?
So I definitely think the environments, like the townhouses and everything in England are very different from the houses you see in Mexico. And I really appreciate that because I've been to several Latin American countries and I know how the houses look there. And I'm pretty glad that when they resembled Mexico, I've never been to Mexico specifically, so I want to start off by saying that. But generally speaking, I know how it looks like and I've seen a lot of like just, you know, Latin American type houses. So I love like the architecture and how much detail they put into just how it looks like in the towns and whatnot. It's a small detail, but it goes a long way. And then again, the environments, not that there weren't a lot of environments in the England setting in Forza Horizon 4. But it's definitely just like, it's pretty cool to drive through like a lush green area like the jungle as opposed to driving through like your standard forest, which they had in like Horizon 4. It's a different type of greenery. In that sense, like there was more like mountain-like forests in Horizon 4, which was pretty cool too. But just experiencing the more like super duper natural greenery in the jungle is very cool. Though I will say some of like the beaches, I mean, they kind of give off the same vibe. And then like the desert is pretty different from like just driving, generally speaking, in the sand in Horizon 4.
If I'm not mistaken, there's a volcano in Horizon 5.
Yes, there is. I have not gone there just yet, but I've seen videos of that, and it's super cool. Like the details I've seen on that part, which I want to get to, is very, very sick. Just how it's cool how interactive the environment around you is, like without you having to like run into something, obviously. You just see things just flowing about, moving around. That is very cool about 5. So definitely check that out. I will say that's probably the biggest difference between 4 and 5. It feels like the environment in 5 is like,
It's got like sandstorms and
yeah,
everything.
it's like very interactive as opposed to 4. Not that the environment looked bad, it just wasn't as interactive with the player. So yeah, that's cool. Good question. But speaking of questions, we are moving on to Gamers on Green, where they have our question of the week. Gonna be asking gamers at USC. So you guys watching, be asking you a fantastic question for this week. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to what responses y'all give, and who knows, maybe we might make something out of it. But yeah, let's pass it on to Jonah. So Jonah, take it away for us for Gamers on Green.
Thanks, Dylan. Today on Gamers on Green, we're going to be asking people if they were playing a hide-and-seek game on campus, where would they hide? Today we're here with...
Jonah.
Today we're here with...
Weston James.
Today we're here with...
Elijah Miller.
And if you were to hide on campus, where would you hide?
Probably one of the quiet floors in the library. You know what I mean? A lot of cubicles, no one's talking.
And what is your guys' favorite place to hide in a game of hide-and-seek on campus?
Behind the counter of Chick-fil-A in Russell House.
Awesome. That is indeed a great spot. Elijah, if you were to play a game of hide-and-seek on campus, where would you hide?
Probably in like the base bathroom because no one wants to be in there.
Very true. It's very stinky up in there. No one will go in there.
Yeah, you got a floor preference?
I feel like going furthest down would be the best.
Oh, the
choice,
basement.
Right?
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I feel you. It's very nice and quiet down there, you know.
Yeah, everyone's minding their own business. No one's looking around. I feel like that'd be best, right?
True. Yeah.
Where would you hide on campus?
The basement of the Coliseum.
Very good choice. What made you decide to hide there? Have you been there many times?
No, but I don't think anyone knows it exists.
Yes, I had no idea.
Man, that's a good question. Probably somewhere in like the 3rd floor of T-Coop.
Okay, true. Have you been there a lot?
Study
You're
rooms.
familiar with that area?
I go every Friday morning.
Okay, awesome. Are you guys regular customers of Chick-fil-A?
Yes, of course.
Awesome. So you guys know the whole layout and everything. We got some pro hide-and-seekers right here too. Awesome. Thank you so much. Have you had experience with the Bates bathroom, like poor experience?
I mean, like, I always play a movie when I'm in there. So, I mean, it's like chill time. But
True.
also, yeah, definitely some bad experiences in there. So
Makes sense. Are you a pro hide-and-seeker by any means, or?
I actually am. Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
You have experience. What have you done?
I mean, just with like family and friends. But
Okay.
I'm like always the last one to be found and stuff.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
We got a pro right here, guys. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your time. Back to you, Dylan.
Thank you so much, Jonah. I really appreciate that. And thank you everyone who participated on Gamers on Green. Of course, fantastic responses all around. Always glad to have you guys helping us out. But that concludes it for this week's show of TGC Replay. Again, if you like the content, if you want to see more of this, if you want to see more of our videos, be sure to drop a like and subscribe and comment down below if there's anything, you just want to say, like, hey, I liked the video, or if there's something you guys want to ask, like maybe you should have a bit about this, say something about this. Leave a comment. We're always reading our comment section. But that about does it for us. So again, I'm Dylan, this is Henry, and thanks so much for being here. We'll catch you guys next week.